Raised.
Raised.
A raised platform.
Raisin.
Raisin.
Raison d'être.
Raison d'être.
Raja.
Raja.
Rake.
Rake.
A garden rake, the rake of the stage. She raked the soil over to loosen the weeds.
I've been raking through my drawers looking for those tickets.
The searchlight raked the open ground around the prison.
They raked the room with gunfire.
Ken raked his fingers through his hair.
Lou's been raking in the dollars since he opened his business.
If someone opened a burger bar, they'd really rake it in.
It upsets Dad when that story is raked up again. They could only rake up $300.
Rake off.
Rake off.
The taxi driver gets a rake off from the hotel.
Rakish. Rakish.
A rakish uniform.
Rally.
Rally.
About 1,000 people attended the rally in Hyde Park.
We decided to hold a rally to put pressure on the government. A mass rally in support of the pay claim. He was shot dead while addressing an election rally.
A rally driver.
A late rally in the Tokyo stock market.
Fellow Republicans rallied to the president's defense.
Surely the local business community could have rallied to raise the cash.
An attempt to rally support for the party.
After a shaky start, he rallied and won the title in style.
The Tokyo stock market rallied later in the day.
Her friends all rallied round when she was ill.
Rallying cry.
Rallying cry. Land and liberty was the rallying cry of revolutionary Mexico.
Rallying point.
Rallying point. A rallying point for the struggle against apartheid.
RAM.
Ram.
A model with 128 megabytes of RAM.
In the latest raid, thieves used his van to ram a police car.
He lost control of his truck and rammed into a van, killing 2 people.
First, you'll have to ram the posts into the ground.
I rammed my foot down on the brake. A police video ramming home the dangers of driving fast in fog. A police video ramming home the dangers of driving fast in fog.
Ramadan.
Ramadan.
Ramble.
Ramble.
She's getting old, and she tends to ramble a bit.
There's plenty to discover as you ramble around this little island.
My father kept rambling on about the war.
I quite like the idea of going for a ramble one weekend. In a 10-page ramble, Barr explains why he wrote the book.
Rambler. Rambler.
Rambling.
Rambling.
A rambling old farmhouse. A long rambling letter.
Ramblings.
Ramblings.
He refused to listen to their mad ramblings.
Rambo. Rambo.
Several European politicians condemned America's Rambo-style approach to Saddam Hussein. Rambo-esque violence.
Rambunctious. Rambunctious.
3 rambunctious kids.
Ramekin. Ramekin. Ramification. Ramification.
An agreement which was to have significant ramifications for British politics.
The practical ramifications of taking on a new job. The environmental ramifications of the road building program.
Ramp.
Ramp.
Ramps are needed at exits and entrances for wheelchair users.
Take the Lake Drive ramp at Charles Street. They miss the off-ramp to Manhattan.
To ramp up a share price during a takeover bid is unacceptable.
Producers can quickly ramp up production.
Rampage.
Rampage.
Drunken football fans rampaged through the streets.
Gangs of youths on the rampage.
Rioters went on the rampage through the town.
Rampant.
Rampant.
Pickpocketing is rampant in the downtown area.
Rampant inflation.
Rampart.
Rampart.
Ram raiding.
Ram raiding.
A ram raid on a jeweller's shop.
Ramrod. Ramrod.
Ramshackle.
Ramshackle.
A ramshackle old cottage.
Ranch.
Ranch.
Ranch house.
Ranch house.
Ranching.
Ranching.
Cattle ranching.
Rancid.
Rancid.
Rancid butter.
Rancor.
Rancor.
He spoke openly about the war without a trace of rancor.
Rand. Rand.
R&B.
R&B.
R&D.
R&D.
R&B. R&D.
Random.
Random.
The company has introduced random drug testing of its employees. A few random shots were fired.
We looked at a random sample of 120 families.
A random selection of women who were in the shop.
The gang picked their victims at random.
She's great. She's just so random.
7 randomly chosen numbers.
Random access memory.
Random access memory.
Randomize.
Randomize.
The numbers have been randomized.
A randomized trial of a new drug.
R&R.
R&R.
He was enjoying a few hard-earned days of R&R.
Randy.
Randy.
She was feeling very randy.
Rang.
Rang.
Range.
Range.
A range of services.
The drug is effective against a range of bacteria. The drug is effective against a range of bacteria.
Students from a wide range of backgrounds.
Advice on a whole range of subjects.
A fairly narrow range of people are responsible for key decisions. Toys suitable for children in the preschool age range. A temperature range of 72 to 85 Fahrenheit.
Your blood pressure is well within the normal range.
A salary in the range of $25,000 to $30,000.
Even the cheapest property was out of our price range.
A new range of kitchenware.
A company from Darlington has just launched its latest range of fashion jewellery.
The watches in this range are priced at £24.50. We have a very large product range.
Missiles with a range of 3,000 kilometres.
We waited until the enemy was within range.
I ducked down to get out of range of the gunshots.
Both men had been shot at point-blank range.
A handsome man who drew admiring glances from any female within range. A handsome man who drew admiring glances from any female within range.
Any spot within range of your radio signal.
Joan hoped that the others were out of range of her mother's voice. Joan hoped that the others were out of range of her mother's voice.
One way to see birds at close range is to attract them into your own garden.
The plane has a range of 3,600 miles. His vocal range is amazing.
A land of high mountain ranges and deep valleys.
The longest range of hills in the Lake District.
A rifle range.
The police shooting range.
An actor of extraordinary range and intensity.
A coal-fired kitchen range. The show had a massive audience, ranging from children to grandparents. There were 120 students whose ages ranged from 10 to 18.
The population of these cities ranges between 3 and 5 million.
The shoes range in price from $25 to $100. The conversation had ranged over a variety of topics, from sport to current affairs.
The discussion ranged widely.
Cattle ranged over the pastures in search of food.
Individuals who had ranged themselves against the authorities.
In the dining room, team photographs were ranged along the wall. Ranger.
Ranger.
A park ranger.
Rangy.
Rangy.
A tall, rangy boy.
Rank.
Rank.
Officers below the rank of colonel.
He held the rank of chief inspector.
During the war, Harold had risen to the rank of major.
An officer of junior rank.
He was sentenced to prison and stripped of his rank.
There were splits in the party ranks on this issue. There were splits in the party ranks on this issue.
The Democrats now face opposition from within their own ranks.
Most are recruited from the ranks of people who studied Latin and Greek at university.
That summer I left school and joined the ranks of the unemployed.
He rose from the ranks to become a field marshal.
He was the first to break ranks with Ceausescu and publicly criticize his policies.
Silently, ranks of police edged closer to the crowds.
Everyone lines up in ranks, all facing the instructor. On the shelves were rank after rank of liquor bottles.
You may just have to pull rank and tell them.
While none of these pictures is of the first rank, some are of interest.
People of all ranks in society.
He came from a family of rank.
I called a taxi from the rank outside.
Today's match ranks as one of the most exciting games that these two have ever played.
We rank among the safest countries in the world.
Cuvier wanted to turn natural history into a science that would rank with physics and chemistry.
He ranked high among the pioneers of 20th century chemical technology.
Agassiz was at that time ranked 6th in the world.
It is not always easy to rank the students in order of ability.
A general ranks a captain.
There were several pairs of riding boots ranked neatly in the hall.
The rank odour of sweat and urine.
An example of this government's rank stupidity.
They make us look like rank amateurs. Rank grass and weeds.
Rank and file. Rank and file.
The rank and file of the party had lost confidence in the leadership.
The rank and file members of the trade union.
Ranking.
Ranking.
She is now 5th in the world rankings.
The panel's ranking Democrat, William Clay. He's the ship's ranking officer.
A top-ranking tennis player. A top-ranking tennis player.
Rankle.
Rankle.
His comments still rankled.
Ransack.
Ransack.
The whole flat had been ransacked.
She ransacked the wardrobe for something to wear.
Ransom.
Ransom.
The kidnappers were demanding a ransom of $250,000.
The government refused to pay the ransom. There has still been no ransom demand.
He's got the ransom money.
His daughter was kidnapped and held for ransom.
He has accused the nurses of holding the government to ransom by threatening to strike.
They were all ransomed and returned unharmed.
Rant.
Rant.
She was still ranting about the unfairness of it all.
Why don't you stop ranting and raving for a minute and listen?
A 15-minute rant about the evils of modern society.
Rantings.
Rantings.
Rap.
Rap.
A popular rap song.
She was woken by a sharp rap on the door.
The kid's been cited twice on drunk driving raps.
Beau was left to take the rap for Victor's murder.
The New York Post received an official rap over the knuckles for the way it reported the story. Cleveland always gets a bum rap in the press.
She rapped the table with her pen.
Angrily, she rapped on his window.
A film rapped by critics for its excessive violence.
Come on, he rapped impatiently.
He had his knuckles rapped sharply for meddling in foreign policy.
Rapacious.
Rapacious.
Rapacious landlords.
Rape.
Rape.
She had been raped and stabbed. Police are investigating a series of violent rapes in the town.
He was arrested and charged with rape.
He always denied that he was guilty of rape.
A rape victim.
The gang rape of a 17-year-old girl.
He was convicted of attempted rape.
Companies which profit from the rape of the earth. Rapid.
Rapid.
The patient made a rapid recovery. Rapid population growth. A period of rapid decline. He fired 3 times in rapid succession.
Their debts mounted with alarming rapidity.
Rapid fire.
Rapid fire.
Rapidly.
Rapidly.
The disease was spreading more rapidly than expected.
The rapidly changing world of technology.
Rapid response.
Rapid response.
A rapid response system.
Rapids.
Rapids.
Rapid transit system.
Rapid transit system.
Rapier.
Rapier.
Rapist.
Rapist.
She later found out that he was a convicted rapist.
Rappel.
Repel. Repel.
Rapper.
Rapper.
Rapport.
Rapport.
He had an excellent rapport with his patients.
He built up a good rapport with the children.
Rapprochement.
Rapprochement.
I hope for a rapprochement between our 2 countries.
Rap sheet.
Rap sheet.
Rapt.
Rapt.
They listened with rapt attention.
The rapt expression on his face.
Rapture.
Rapture.
The boys gazed up at him in rapture.
She went into raptures about the climate, the food, the spring flowers. Rapturous.
Rapturous.
She was greeted with rapturous applause.
He was given a rapturous welcome.
Rare.
Rare.
This species of plant is becoming increasingly rare.
I only saw Helen on the rare occasions when I went into her shop.
It is rare to find such an interesting group of people.
It is very rare for her to miss a day at school.
I like my steak rare. We had a rare old time at the party.
Rarely.
Rarely.
She very rarely complains.
This method is rarely used in modern laboratories.
Raring.
Raring.
They woke up early and were raring to go.
The children were raring to get outdoors.
Rarity.
Rarity.
Visitors were a rarity in the village.
Some of these plants are national rarities.
Such stamps are expensive because of their rarity.
Rascal.
Rascal.
Rash.
Rash.
Please, Jessie, don't do anything rash.
Don't go making any rash decisions about your future.
It was rather rash of you to lend them your car.
I rashly agreed to look after the children.
She had a nasty rash on her arm. My mother comes out in a rash if she eats seafood.
Most babies get nappy rash at some stage.
A heat rash.
There's been a rash of car thefts in the city centre.
Rasher.
Rasher.
A rasher of bacon.
Rasp.
Rasp.
My father's rasping voice.
Stop, he rasped. The harsh rasp of her
Raspberry.
Raspberry.
A bowl of fresh raspberries.
raspberry jam. She blew a raspberry at him as he drove off.
Rasta.
Rasta.
Rastafarian.
Rastafarian.
Rastaman.
Rastaman.
Rat.
Rat.
But you promised to help us, you rat. They'll kill you if they find out you've ratted on them.
He accused the government of ratting on its promises to the disabled.
You can't rat out your teammates.
Rat-arsed.
Rat-arsed.
Rat-a-tat.
Rat-a-tat.
Rat-bag.
Rat-bag.
Ratchet.
Ratchet.
Raising the minimum wage would ratchet up real incomes in general. The debate will ratchet up a notch on Wednesday when the Commission publishes its report.
Rate.
Rate.
Australia's unemployment rate rose to 6.5% in February.
A rapid increase in the divorce rate. Areas with high rates of crime.
It's a new technique and the failure rate is quite high. Immediately his heart rate increased.
Asylum seekers were entering Britain at a rate of 1,600 per day.
People who pay tax at the highest rate.
They only pay tax at a rate of 5%.
Another reduction in the mortgage rate.
Nurses are demanding higher rates of pay.
Some hotels offer special rates for children.
What's the hourly rate for cleaning?
$20 an hour is the going rate for private tuition.
An attempt to slow down the rate of economic growth.
Children learn at different rates. Our money was running out at an alarming rate.
Iceland is getting wider at a rate of about 0.5 centimetres per year.
They've had technical problems. At any rate, that's what they told me. Well, at any rate, the next meeting will be on Wednesday.
At this rate, we won't ever be able to afford a holiday.
A cheap third-rate motel.
Jack's getting through the ironing at a rate of knots.
The company seems to rate him very highly.
Rhodes is currently rated the top junior player in the country.
That rates as one of the best meals I've ever had.
I never rated him.
I don't rate your chances of getting a ticket for the Leeds game. How do you rate your chances tomorrow?
They rate a big thank you for all their hard work. A local incident that didn't rate a mention in the national press.
Rate of exchange.
Rate of exchange.
Rate of return.
Rate of return.
Ratepayer.
Ratepayer.
Rather.
Rather.
I was rather surprised to see him with his ex-wife. He was limping rather badly.
My own position is rather different.
Abigail's always been rather a difficult child.
Isn't it rather late to start changing all the arrangements?
Actually, I rather like the new style of architecture. It was a nice house, but rather too small for a... The task proved to be rather more difficult than I had expected. It was a nice house, but rather too small for a family of 4.
I'd rather have a quiet night in front of the TV.
We could eat later if you would rather do that.
I think you'd better ask her. I'd rather not.
I'd rather die than apologise to Helen.
I'd rather you didn't go out alone.
I think you'd call it a lecture rather than a talk.
Rather than go straight on to university, why not get some work experience first?
Bryson decided to quit rather than accept the new rules. Bryson decided to quit rather than accept the new rules.
We all went in Vic's car, or rather his father's.
The problem is not their lack of funding, but rather their lack of planning.
Ratify.
Ratify.
We hope that the republics will be willing to ratify the treaty.
An attempt to delay ratification of the treaty.
Rating.
Rating.
By the end of the year, the Prime Minister's approval rating had fallen as low as 12%.
CBS will end the series if it continues to drop in the ratings. The Godfather had an X rating when it was first shown.
Ratio.
Ratio.
The ratio of nursing staff to doctors is 2 to 1.
The ratio between profits and incomes.
Ration.
Ration.
The weekly meat ration.
A coal ration of 4 kilograms a month.
Even wool was on ration in the war.
Emergency food rations.
The prisoners were queuing for their meagre rations.
We were on short rations.
Holiday makers who like a generous ration of open-air activity.
Fuels rationed during the war.
The need to ration healthcare resources.
Diets which ration fat.
He rationed himself to 4 cigarettes a day.
I try to ration the children's television viewing to an hour a day.
Rational.
Rational.
Parents need to be fully informed so they can make a rational decision.
I'm sure there's a rational explanation for all this.
It's impossible to have a rational conversation with him.
Cully was quite rational at the time of her baby's death.
Man is a rational animal.
We were too shocked to think rationally.
Rationale.
Rationale.
The rationale behind the changes is not at all evident.
The rationale for using this teaching method is to encourage student confidence.
Rationalism.
Rationalism.
Philosophers who accept scientific rationalism.
Rationalist.
Rationalist.
Rationalize.
Rationalize.
When he fouls up, Glenn always finds a way to rationalize what he's done.
Our systems will be rationalized over the coming months.
A major rationalization of the aircraft industry.
Rationing.
Rationing.
News of bread rationing created panic buying. Rat race.
Rat race.
The story of a couple who quit the rat race.
Rat run.
Rat run.
The road has become a rat run for traffic avoiding the town centre.
Rats.
Rats.
Rats! I forgot to buy any bread.
Rat's tails.
Rat's tails.
Rattan.
Rattan.
Rattan chairs.
Rattle.
Rattle.
Dan banged on her door and rattled the handle.
The window rattled in the wind.
Bottles rattled as he stacked the beer crates.
The cart rattled along the stony road.
An old blue van rattled into view.
His mocking smile rattled her more than his anger.
It was hard not to get rattled when the work piled up.
His confidence was rattled by the accident.
Who rattled your cage?
Dad and I rattled around miserably in the house after Mum died.
Chris rattled off some statistics about the teams.
Nancy would rattle on for hours about her grandchildren.
The West Indies had rattled up 411 for 5 when rain stopped play.
They listened anxiously to every rattle and creak in the house.
The rattle of chains.
The faint rattle of distant gunfire.
Rattler.
Rattler.
Rattlesnake.
Rattlesnake.
Rattletrap.
Rattletrap.
Rattling.
Rattling.
Ratty.
Ratty.
I feel guilty about getting ratty with the children.
A ratty old sofa. Ratty hair.
Raucous.
Raucous.
He burst into raucous laughter.
Raucous cheers.
A group of raucous students spilled out of the bar.
The atmosphere became increasingly raucous.
Raunchy.
Raunchy.
A raunchy magazine.
The show was quite raunchy.
Ravage.
Ravage.
A country ravaged by civil war.
His health was gradually ravaged by drink and drugs.